We're live, ladies and gentlemen. I woke up pretty early this morning, watered the garden, collected some firewood, rinsed off the beans we cooked last night, made a massive batch of like red beans. And instead of recording it all today, I decided, you know what, let's just go live. It kind of feels a bit more like a hangout when we do that. Um, we've been doing it with the private bear group in Zoom, and it's fun. So I figure going live on YouTube now and having a morning coffee time with all the bear family, and maybe we can all banter together, take a look at your guys' thoughts, your questions. You know, a bunch of you had mentioned I watched the David Icke podcast with London Real. Brian, I forget his last name, from London Real. Anyways, great episode. Um, I have my own counter thoughts to that. I'll leave that till a little bit later. But for now, what we'll do is, I guess you guys had so thoroughly enjoyed all the sounds of the jungle that I would just sit outside and do morning episode on maybe Saturdays and Sundays, because I'm gonna do this every day. So instead of making an episode, I'm just gonna go live and hang out with you guys. I think Saturday and Sunday are good days to do that. Not that the week really matters anymore to most people. The week has gone totally out the window. So I don't know how much people care about what they're doing on their weekends anymore. It's all kind of a weekend at this point. Um, I did though, while watching the David Icke documentary, or not podcast. I almost said documentary twice. It's kind of like a documentary. It feels like it, right? Understanding how our rights and freedoms have been systematically taken away from us. You know, I'm not a huge fan of, say, any particular religion, but I've read the Bible a few times in my life, and many other, say, theosophical books. We'll just call them all theosophical. Why not? Pretty much all the same. Some stories, the relevance of the prophet, I think, is important to understand. In books like Revelations, where we have writings of what they think the unveiling, and we'll be specific there. Apocalypse itself just means the unveiling, which could be of truth of so many other things. What we get to see right now is the almost systematic degradation of the human species into a technocratic, electronically controlled world, and that we're losing our free domain potentially. Um, that's a very, very likely reality. Um, Here's the question though: if the universe is moving us into that for a lesson, like it's just like it's part of the video game, like you can't change the video game, you already know the next level kind of brings this crazy shit about. Well, what's the evolution of the story? I started to build this in as a character in the video game. The whole experience of what people would call the Illuminati, or this supposed control mechanism. It's very hard to do. First off, it's very, very difficult to do. Humans only live 100 years each. I actually really like Joe Rogan's random rants on his podcast the other evening about ideas possessing people and taking over uh, instead of the humans, right? Which is interesting to think about, because a lot of the times that's how this game goes. You'll hear that from many artists. You know, it's like, oh, I just kind of came through me. And there's a point of being that you can practice to effectively create that environment over and over again through things like meditation, constant discipline and devotion to almost any type of art form, whether it's movement in the physical body, um, drawing, painting, music, or just as, let's say, silent as meditation. They all have a point of being, and that you're trying to be as present as possible. And when I look from that angle, David Icke's story falls apart, because everything is everything has the divine breath through it, even if it is like, let's say, a joke or a part of the video game, like all this bad stuff that might happen, right? It's part of the game. It's part of the ride. It's always been part of the ride. Why would we get upset at the ride? It provides all of the fun parts, right? Like the video game is has all these bosses and shit in it, etc. Because that makes the video game more entertaining. It brings the story to life. You know, I think that was an important part. So, anyways, these weekend shows are just going to be banter with you guys. So I see a bunch of you guys are showing up. Um, Hastings Insurance Solutions says, question: what kind of tea do you like made from local ingredients on your land or area? Great question, Hashtings. One of my first favorites when I got here was turmeric tea. I have, I grow like probably about 100 kilograms of turmeric growing on the property right now. Just an enormous amount of turmeric. Like I could dye all my clothes orange. I should. I could look the same color as Donald Trump with how much turmeric I have on the property. That's probably one of my favorites. We also have lemongrass and lemon balm. Like this is actually the lemon balm. Smells like wet naps, but the real natural version of wet naps. This is probably my favorite tea, the lemongrass and the lemon balm mixed together. This is the ayahuasca leaf, so this is another type of tea you could drink, although I don't suggest you just drink this as a tea. The ayahuasca has an MAOI inhibitor in it and can be very detrimental to your physical and personal health if you don't know what you're doing. So, not medical advice. Don't just randomly drink ayahuasca for tea every morning. Although it is still probably one of my favorites. It's a cold tea. It's a rather awkward tea. It's a tea that makes you throw up, but I like it. Mm. Next morning question. Okay. Everyone's saying thank you. Hello from Thailand, from Ontario. Good morning. Nice. I gotta see some life straw filters for emergency. Oh, I have one. Not that I really need it out here though. If I could send it to you, I would. But the shipping mechanisms in Costa Rica were never that good. You just don't. I mean, at one point, I hear a lot of people complain about the way things work in Costa Rica. I'm like, no, that's the plus. Like, that's how you want it to be. I mean, to some degree, the mail kind of sucks. Like, what's your address? It's like 4 black horses down the road, 150 meters across the river. Like, it's mail in Costa Rica. Try to get something delivered here. At least where I live. Hold on, just so everyone sees. Okay, yeah. There's not a whole lot of people out here. That is the point that I'm trying to make. Okay. Um, do you have a wine cellar? I do not, but digging a hole in the ground and building something sounds like a smart idea. Having a bunker, well, like just a rock hangout spot in the ground. Oh, that's a great idea. Like you could build what do they call it? It's where they would have their they would make them out of teepees, but sometimes they would do them out of dirt. Okay. Apparently, it just likes to randomly go out. We're probably having to assume that my phone's almost half dead. Let's go to the phone dies. Let's see what happens. So excuse me there. So digging something underground. I don't know what. It's not a teepee, but they would have fire ceremonies in it. It's a native thing, but they build it in the ground, kind of half of it with rock, and then the other part is just two stakes with. And they put dirt on top of it, and they grow stuff on top. Just a side for air to get in and smoke to get out. I forget what it's called. I should build one of those. Give me like 10 years. I'll add one. Do you think the gardens would be useful for all of our health? Americans have too much grass and not enough food growing. IP, this is a great question. And what's fun here is, I don't know, for those, I mean, thank you all for joining us. Give us those thumbs up. I'm really grateful for all you guys on the Saturday morning chat. Um, that's a great question. I really like the sentiment behind it. And yesterday, in my Rise of the Digital Cowboy video, I actually think that's going to become the normal. I think people are going to quickly very realize, and if you haven't yet, and you have grass in your front yard, start planting a garden. You're going to need it. Everyone's going to need everyone to have a little bit of something. It's going to make a life a hell of a lot easier if we just all grow a little bit of food, right? We should have been doing that in the first place. It doesn't make that much do. It's just like throw seeds as you walk around. Instead, we've been putting everything in these plastic bags and trying to get it as far away from us. We should just be growing beneficial plants. Like I've got oregano right next to me. I've got like a bunch of different plants I could just lean to for like and grab. We've got not sativa, stevia. I grown some stevia over here. So I think this farm in the front of your house is a necessity. um, the rise of the digital cowboy vision was, yeah, everyone goes back to farming. Everyone adds a little bit more work in their own personal environment each time to help take care of everyone else. That's one of the highlights I saw. Now, again, the danger here, guys, is that at this boss, if people don't figure it out how to work with each other without having an outside like government, I don't really like that story. I think everyone's pretty much capable of governing themselves at this point. I mean, that's a big ask of the human species, probably, to say, hey guys, we need you to take care of yourselves so we can get rid of this government thing, okay? Can we just rely on you to to do good for the most part, at least like 80% of you at least, right? And then just when the other 20% start to fuck with you, don't let them fuck with you. That's it. You got to be able to not turn the other cheek at this time. It's like, okay, good. Like, tell you what, everyone's going to take care of their own shit. You're going to live in farm garden in your area. I think that's smart. I think it sounds really smart. Municipal governance and farms instead of like just little farms. You don't need a whole ton. Like everyone growing their own tomatoes, it's gonna make a huge difference, especially in these times. I mean, look, I'm all for like flying into outer space and getting super technical as a society, but if we don't learn how to take care of one another better, it doesn't really matter how we move forward. This time seems a very obvious moment to reconnect with nature, reconnect with yourself. Like if you're stuck inside, go outside. Right? That's the point. Maybe social distancing was a key to success all along. That people just weren't spending enough time with themselves. They didn't just stop. So instead of watching films or whatever, do a little bit of everything. I watched Better Call Saul last night. I fucking love drama, TV shows like that sometimes. But then I also read a book. I'm reading Snow Crash right now. For those of you that have ever read this cypherpunk book, super into it. I think it's a fantastic story. I'm starting my morning ritual every day by cooking my coffee over the fire. Not because I have to. I don't have to. I have got enough propane to probably last for at least a little while, right? But this is nice. This is a reminder to be more connected with what I have on a daily basis. So not just in growing food, trying to do art. Like instead of stressing out watching all the videos you can, learning about this stuff, I think this is a great time for us to go inside ourselves as well and discover that what we like to do with our free time, because a lot of people don't realize, hey, I can be creative, I can learn something right now, maybe I should learn something. So many people didn't like school, they just get so used to this job. Well, what excites you right now? Go find those things. There's so much to learn about your or if you're more into like feeling, just do some yoga, do some breathing exercises, try the Wim Hof breath, or you know what I mean, have a cold shower, try to experience yourself. I think that's what these are the positives that we can take out of it. So I think planting a garden is right along that core sentiment, is that we should be doing something to be more connected to ourselves, and that means nature as well, because we are one with this planet. As regardless people try to tell you think we're viruses or not, we're here because we've learned how to survive, just like all the others, right? All the other small birds and all the other animals that know how to motherfucking hide when shit gets crazy a little bit. Or not, and that's every animal, that's every predator, mind you, right? Like we know that there's been catastrophes on this planet where every predator gets wiped out. So I'm not saying like it's not a bitch move to hide. It's the smart thing to do sometimes, is just to stop, sit where you are, get somewhere, be comfortable, be silent. Maybe hiding was the wrong sentiment, like just be somewhere. These are wild times, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really grateful for all of you joining this morning. That was a really long-winded answer to the question of should we be planting gardens? Yes, just one word answers. That's not my style. I feel a little bit more talkative today. Could be the coffee. Okay, next one. Guys, crypto. Obviously, we're still into the tech game. I think digital cowboys, like you gotta understand. I think everyone goes to farming, but I think we keep like the tech, this whole microphone, computer, and iPad for your questions, shit that I see down here. This is great. I like this. I think we should keep some of this stuff. I'm not saying we should throw it all away. I'm just saying there's aspects we could do better with if we self-govern and really realize that. Oh, yeah. I sounds kind of hippie if I say it like that, but we're the creators of our destiny. The story's not totally written right now. We don't have to go too far down the path of the sin number or the mark of the beast. We can go into more decentralized systems, and it's a smart time to do it. That means governance as well. It means we rely on each other to help take care of shit when things go wrong. Like more centralized, even production of electricity, right? You can buy these little small in-stream turbines now. I could be generating electricity for 3 or 4 houses, probably way better than solar. Downside is it's bad for the fish, but I've been seeing they've been doing that through the sewers. I think just in general, smaller levels of productivity everywhere is going to make the system a lot stronger and a lot less fragile. We could break everything we've built in the last 100 years with this fucking pandemic, and there should be a wake up call to like to realize that, hey, I'm not saying throw all of this away either. I like I like this tech thing we got going on right now. This is cool. I love that we can live stream in the middle of the fucking jungle, have people to share coffee with from all around the world during these trying times. That's really important to me. I think we should keep that. I think there's lots that we should keep here, but there's a definitely like a recommendation notice. I think it's probably more strict than that. I think it's stricter than that. Is for us to really wake up to our relationship with nature and each other, and the importance that we have in keeping that this is not just a yeah, not just a privilege. Hello, lizard. Okay, long-winded. I'll look at the next question. We'll get to crypto. Don't worry. It's an important part of the future. I think people are going to want the tech just as much as I do. So I don't think it's going anywhere. I just think more people end up having their coffee and by the fire because it's a damn good thing to do. And if that's how you're going to spend your morning instead of going out to spend $8, you don't have to work that extra. I don't know. A lot of people make way more than $8 an hour sometimes. I guess it's not a fair assessment, but the value of sitting by the fire and making the coffee is significantly higher than $8. People don't even know. Don't even know what you're missing out. Go make your coffee by a fire one time. Tell you how that goes. Okay. Do you have a wine cellar? No, I do not. I answered that one. Morning. Okay. Stefan says, big hug from Heredia. Keep up the great content. Stefan, fellow brother in Costa Rica. Stay well, stay safe, stay healthy. Last two were the same. First and last were kind of same. It's good. The beginning and the end of those. Stay healthy. Let's see. Morning fam. Tim Mosley says, hope everyone is well. Hope you are well as well, Tim. Stockton says, ironically lost a lot on Harmony One. Bad time to be in the markets unless you're short. We went over that a few weeks ago. I thought you were in Bali, but the daytime zone doesn't add up. I'm not in Bali. I flew from Bali back home around January 15th. So just on the wave of some of this stuff, as soon as I got home, this was what I started doing. Being back at home. I'm glad to be back at home though. Much better place for me. Got my garden, my water, my fireplaces, my guitar. Yeah, there it is. Do you live on the island that Leo was on the movie The Beach? I live in Costa Rica. Not an island. It is a very thin part of Central America, right beside Panama, that connects with the Darien Gap and Colombia. Yep, Colombia. I got that right. Where this hat's from? Just on the other side of the border. Not an island. Part of the Americas continent. Yeah. So no. Are using a satellite connection. We have point to point, which is although they're installing fiber here next week, and the guy who's installing it already knows. He shows up with a face mask and gloves. We're like, okay, good. We'll stay arm's length apart. We'll figure this out. We'll keep making business happen. Getting faster internet in the jungle, fiber in the middle of nowhere. Isn't that crazy? And that's what I'm talking about. Digital cowboy, artisanal renaissance, open source information sharing. That would be so good. I hope we get that. It doesn't look like that's what's going to happen, but I'm praying that's what happens. Digital cowboy, artisanal science and shit. Oh god, I know you know how good that would be for everyone. So no, I'm not using a satellite connection. Point to point. It's just like your radio tower to like a little satellite dish. Are you taking Carbon 60? I started since the Cliff High interview. I'm not. There's a shout out to Evolution C60. They sent me some, but I was not able to pick it up in Canada before I left. So I just missed it because of the crazy timing. A Stockholm says, have you got a native woman? I would wager a bet that all women are native to this planet. Native Costa Rican or like Native American. There's a woman sleeping inside right now, and she could pass for a bunch of different cultures, I guess. So yeah, I'm just gonna say yes. Yes, all women are native. Okay, next one. Charles says, what's up to you? Stockholm says, girlfriend, wife, etc. Yeah, Not neither of those two yet. We're let's go with we're quarantine buddies at the moment. I started telling her all about this, and she's not. We're of a different mindset in the way we look at this, so we're gonna have to figure it out. We're doing pretty good though. I think we're doing great. It's really tasty. Make food, play music, all the fun things. Okay. Good morning from Lake Tahoe. I do enjoy my own company immensely, Charles Peterson says. That's good. That's a good sign, Charles. Again, thank you guys all for joining us this morning. This is just meant to be a live, ask me whatever you want type of question. Up in a minute or two, maybe we'll wander around with the phone, see how good the internet is, or well, around the property. Ferris wheel greenhouses for food safety, weather locust proof, vertical farming, connected to aquaponic farming, biomass for animals to reintroduce happy farms. Yeah, I think we might realize the importance of food. Yeah, I posed this question the other night um, with a friend about money or like a cell phone, right? We pay $1,000 for some cell phone because, look, it obviously provides this value. But, and when push comes to shove, I'm pretty motherfucking sure water and food is more valuable. So even though a phone costs you $1,000, an orange costs you like nothing. But in retrospect, if you like really needed that orange, scurvy or something, lack of vitamin C, that orange is way more fucking valuable than the phone. Phone can't. Well, here's the argument for the phone. I'm not going to just take the orange's side though. The phone could call for help, maybe get you an intravenous vitamin C. I know it's a hard, see, it's a hard balance. The phone is a good tool. I'm not saying it's not worth what we pay for it, but food. We forget how valuable it is because we just get it so easily. Um, it might not be so easy to get over the next while. I think we should be able. Most countries produce enough food. You'll just be limited to your choices for a little while. And look, guys, this is such a hard one because like, oh, we're just right woefully giving up our freedoms. Yeah, if we do it because it's the right thing to do right now. It's just and probably something we should have been doing a long time ago. Just not traveling as much, doing all of our meetings on the internet anyways. Like there's a bunch of shit we just should have been doing that we weren't. This is going to force everyone to try that, to give a new opportunity to say not traveling around the world to give keynote conferences, and maybe just do more of the stuff online instead of being there personally, because it's not necessary. We've been making a fucking mess of this place through constant consumerism, right? So there are some obvious benefits to what's happening right now, and I hope people realize that and they take it into account and try to build a better future with what we're learning through all this stuff too. Um, so growing food, I think, is going to become of like a much higher value point in terms of job production as well. Charles says that everyone can make some sort of compost. I don't. I just throw all my stuff in my gutter because the gutter water goes down and feeds all the plants. It's the simplest way I could figure out how to do it. Just throw shit in the gutter. All the shit goes down into the plants through the gutter. It's the best way, for me at least. If you are savvy enough to build stuff and make a compost, I commend you. I've tried doing stuff like that, and I usually just end up paying my gardener to do all the all the hard work. I tell him how it should be done. It's better that way. We both need jobs, and this gives me a job. I can just talk shit, and then he can help build shit. So it's like you talk shit, build shit. Engineer, like designer, construction, blueprints. That's all my jam. I love that. Right now, I would rather watch him build a toilet than myself. Anyways, and he's super stoked about it. I think it's a fair trade. If he wasn't stoked about it, I'm not forcing anyone to take a job. I love Jesus. He's one of my best friends. We go on walks together, out in an hour and a half to try to find the well so we can install new pumps and shit. We have a great time. It's always fun. Anyways, okay, where are you? I am in Costa Rica on the southern Pacific side, so southwest. Wood gas fires look interesting. I've been looking at those too. These maybe they're like a rocket stove they call them. You build them out of. I want to look at one of those for heating the water potentially, because if I could pump my jacuzzi and only have to heat it with firewood instead of propane, my whole house could operate with just firewood. I would love that. I'd be so amped. I'd be filling the jacuzzi all the time. Like, oh, just come water from the well with wood fire. It's pretty much a natural. As natural as a jacuzzi as one could want, and just with like a rocket stove. I'm not sure that's what you mean by wood gasifier, but um, yeah. real words spoken, we need to be more with nature and more compassionate towards others. Yeah, I think this is a real wake up call for understanding the necessity of a lot of the things we're kind of ignoring. This is great, but definitely want to keep the tech. I like this whole tech thing is amazing. Cowboy coffee in the fire. That's right. We're doing it right. Can you play any Leonard Skinner? No, I cannot. Um, the only songs I can play that would be covers are like if I make my own song and then I use the lyrics of another song. That's the only way I can play anyone else's music. Like if I wanted to play "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot," it would never sound like the original, but the words would be the same. That's about what I do best for covers. So no, I'm gonna say I don't play any Leonard Skinner only because I don't know any of the words of his songs enough to be able to just wing it. But wait, what's yeah, I don't, sweet something Oklahoma or Alabama. Sweet home Alabama. Is that Leonard Skinner? I don't know. I don't even know who. Sorry guys, not a great jukebox, but oh, oh. Playing with a capo. When this is over, I'm going to consider retirement down there. Was going to be this summer, maybe next. Costa Rica is beautiful. I love it here. We're about to see what the future looks like, so we'll go from that. Rich W says get chaga. Yeah, I've got chaga. Been enjoying it, and then Crypto Cash's coffee and XRP. Beautiful. Okay, so guys, I guess I'll just play some tunes for a little bit too. Just a morning coffee hangout session. That's all this is. It's a heck of a lot easier than producing a video. It's just press a button and it says live. So thank you guys for all bearing through. Oh yeah, before I play the guitar, because I'm sure those of you that are watching are like diehard Bitcoin fans. Um, so things might look bullish. Although I'm not gonna say that until we see what happens in the United States. If we see a lot more like what's happening in Italy hit the United States soon, oh, I don't think the price of Bitcoin will stay up. If the United States handles it properly, which I don't see them doing necessarily, that things could look bullish, at least from a technical standpoint. Things look bullish right now for Bitcoin on a technical standpoint. Fundamentally speaking, if the pandemic scares people even further and pushes society into a deeper state of not fear, but a new level of okay, well, shit, this is serious, because we've just never seen anything like it, potentially. Then I don't think that will bode well for Bitcoin. Um, yeah, so keep that one in mind. Oh yeah, so I was working on this song last night. It goes like this. Cool guys. The song I'm working on. I'm not gonna sing. I thought about singing there's, I was actually singing the sweet low, swing low, sweet chariot lyrics with it last night for fun. But I just want to do a live show. Thank you guys. Um, as we get back into it here, if any of you are interested, again, remember, I'm going to be doing all of my charting and Bitcoin trading stuff in the private bear den only. I appreciate this relationship with nature and the kind of the direction the vlog's going. We're going to do more educational videos on different medicinal plants, like this beautiful ayahuasca vine here, or this one here, the lemon balm, the oregano, just because it's fun and I like learning and sharing that as I learn, because it helps me learn more about these things. Gives me a reason to be like, hey, well, what are the other crazy things with oregano, and how can we turn it into a salve or anything? So I'm going to try to lean into that a little bit more as depending what happens here. I think the rise of the digital cowboys is a cool thing, so I want to lean into that, even if it's just me in my own fucking crazy dream world about what's going on with the future right now. I like it. I think it's nice. So thank you all for joining the Arcane Bear through all these wild changes. Yeah, Bitcoin's been a wild ride lately. A lot of fun trading right now. It's really exciting to see so much volatility. You know, people have a hard time with it, but I think it's important to be able to play with a much broader spectrum approach. So Bob Rogers here is pretty funny. Um, Bob, I think you're misunderstanding what the word scam means. That's for sure. People honestly trying to build stuff out of startups and failing is fucking normal. It happens all the time in the investment world. We're just trying something new out. I think you totally misunderstand how the game and the world works. Um, I think what we need is people to learn from their mistakes, and we should praise people that actually go out and try to do something and maybe potentially fail. Yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can do dumb things. Um, Trying to regulate stupid or regulate the fire not being hot instead of just allowing people to learn through those lessons is actually the problem here. So Bob, you're trying to instigate the like the problem, which is giving people um, yeah, yeah, again, it's crazy. Our system is very poorly designed. It is top down government lawyer system is very, very poorly designed. Some of it was originally created for well intentioned ideas, but corruption is you can't get rid of it. It's not You can't make laws to just get rid of it. It will always find a way. It's not human. It's people used to call them demons and shit back in the day. These are overarching concepts that may even dive throughout species, not just the human species, right? So understanding, like, what about corruption in like the hierarchy of monkeys or some shit? Probably exists, right? So I think that the importance here is to understand the video game itself, not get too caught up in specifics. Because especially in the world of entrepreneurs, man, people fail all the time, and that's just the nature of the game. If you regulate everything, it's horrible. Look, I mean, here, you said something about Reggie Middleton. I saw briefly. It's like, oh, we just pay his $9 million fine. It's like, well, they fined EOS, right? And no one calls that a scam or well, some people do, I guess, right? So basically what you're saying is if you can afford the bill, it's not a scam. Well, what the fuck, are you fucking kidding? Shut the fuck up. You're not even listening to the words that are coming out of your mouth. What about the scammers scamming the scammers saying, hey, you just pay us a fine, it's no big deal. It's fucking ridiculous. It's like paying off cops. What the fuck's the point then? That's what we have here, right? God, people are so stupid sometimes. You can't outlaw corruption. It doesn't make a difference. It will find its own way. So instead of making more laws that get in the way of well-intentioned individuals trying to build something who often do fail, just get rid of all the rules and laws and let everyone fucking learn that the fire is goddamn hot. If you touch it, you don't know what the fuck you're doing, you're not paying attention, that's your fucking fault. You're the idiot, right? There's everything is a fraud. The entire world is an illusion. That's every mystical text has said that. They call it the Maya or the like the Brahma, whatever. Y'all can do your own fucking research. I don't need to be ranting. I don't need to be ranting. I'll just make that sentiment one more time. Everything is an illusion. Every mystical text says this. There's a reason for it. This is not real as you might think it to be. It's a fucking video game, essentially. That's what it appears to be for anyone from advanced physics to all the way back throughout our moderate or even longer history. This world is not what it appears to be, right? So instead of regulating and taking freedoms away from people to make their own mistakes, and again, praising people that make mistakes, the fact that they go out and try to do something, no, it's a difficult one. Yeah, BitConnect, that was a fucking scam, right? No one's calling like Uber a scam for not once being fucking profitable or even projecting that, right? Come on, let's be real about how business works here. If you know anything about business, you'd know that. Um, anyways, Bob Bob Rogers here is just so ridiculous. Okay, yeah. Look, I'm not gonna defend Cliff here, but I'm gonna tell you how much I like his work. Um, when I first saw the even the concept itself is invaluable because I've had my own feelings about this before too. Okay, well, let's take a second here and then just imagine for any of you that are open-minded and have had experiences with any type of sacred plant medicine or long extended periods of meditation, you'll know that you very quickly find that the universe is one thing. You're like, wow, the infinite is beyond my comprehension. It's just a singularity. It is a one thing. We are part of this infinite consciousness. And if we're part of that infinite consciousness, what makes me think that the words that are coming out of my mouth are just my own? Maybe consciousness is trying to speak through all of us all the time. And maybe we could collect that data of consciousness trying to speak out through everybody and their little fucking egos thinking they're talking about, I'm going to go to the movies or I'm going to do this. It's like, shut the fuck up. Consciousness is trying to speak through you. Or it's going to speak through you anyways. You don't get a good goddamn choice because you are nothing compared to the infinite. Right? So you might think you're saying something special about yourself or whatever, but it's just consciousness like always pushing through. And maybe we can gather that information and find out emblematic ways that we could tell the future because consciousness is constantly telling us these stories. And maybe that's how prophets had done it in the past. They were tapping into by tuning their own antennas to find this type of emotional dialogue in the consciousness. So yes, I think that the preface alone of Cliff High's work is absolutely astounding. It makes a lot of sense to me. Is it going to be perfect? No, not even close. It's not a prediction model. It's not saying, hey, this is going to happen exactly. It's trying to pick up as an antenna conscious data leaking out of a bunch of fucking stupid monkeys who think know what they're talking about. Me included. Right? That's everybody. That means everybody. Well, whatever. Anyways, Cliff High's ideas are brilliant. And you can't just, you should never just listen to one person to like make decisions from. You should be making an aggregate of decisions. Like there's a reason why hedge funds invest in about 10 or 20 companies at a time, knowing that 18 of them are going to fail. Because that's how you play. The hedge fund's like, oh, you failed, you're a scam. No, they didn't exceed in what they were trying to do. Look, if they did, they might not have even have done as well as if they had pivoted, which is probably what a lot of the people look for. It's like, okay, well, who's brave enough to build something and then just to kind of wing it and move on to the next thing? See what comes of it. Give it a bunch of years. Pivoting quickly. Okay. Crypto Cash, as I'm selling my home here in California and moving to Manuel Antonio. Oh, it's just like an hour north. Beautiful area. Where did all the whiners come from? Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a great question, Charles. I don't know. The whiners have always been around. For some reason, we keep letting them. They might not be. We, a lot of us might not make it through this, ladies and gentlemen. This could get real bad. We haven't decided yet, so I would stop your whining now, because this is going to get a lot fucking worse. If you thought you had it bad before, there, little Bob Rogers, anything you're about to see in your future is probably about to get a lot fucking worse. The whole world scammed you, and you haven't realized it yet, because you still believe some like technocratic bullshit. That's what I say to you, Bob. Um, you don't know how to make your own critical decisions. You're not willing to take responsibility for the things that you research and do, just like everybody else should. And you're whining like a bitch. Stop it. Go to your room, shut the fuck up. That's the world trying to tell you right now. You need to go to your room, shut the fuck up, Bob. You've been a whiny motherfucker, okay? Not allowed anymore. There's no room for this. Hari says, learning from each other, open sex. So, Orpin, oh, jeez. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the first time I've ever tried speaking. Let's try this one more time. Learning from each other, open source technology and everything. This is from Hari. If you've got a good recipe, keep it, share it, it's your choice. I think this is what we're going into. I think this is the time where the digital renaissance and the artisanal age, the rise of the digital cowboy, is a moment where we go more municipal. We get to share ideas over the internet. The other day I printed off a 80-page medicinal and edible plant field guide of all the Costa Rican flora. I was like, oh, this is amazing. And I just printed it out. It was such a beautiful thing. I think the printing that we go into in the next little while is going to become important. People need to be more connected to the nature around them instead of their dumbass jobs and their crazy whiny shit. Go sit out in nature. You know how many ants have gotten bit by where you'd probably be like, oh my God, shut the fuck up, Bob Rogers. You sound like a bitch. I love that we can swear in these shows now because it says this is not for kids. Like, we already made the disclaimer. None of this is for motherfucking kids. Like, YouTube makes you click a button now. I'm just going to swear as freely as I want because I don't give a shit. That's right. It said not for kids. Don't show it. Right? And if you have kids in the room and you don't like people swearing, well, then you shouldn't be listening to my show. This is a morning coffee shit talk show right now. Nothing more, nothing less. I'm not trying to be something special. I just what I like doing. Anyways. Okay. Yeah, good. There we go. So hey, I guess just so everyone knows, it's not about bullying Bob Rogers. Bob Rogers, I hope you're having a good day, man. I just like shit talking. If we were hanging out in person, I'd be doing the same thing. I'm just trying like who cares, man? Who cares? None of those things are important, especially with the like the robust outer layer of the fringes of where this conversation has gone. You're like worried about some bullshit like that means nothing in this grand scheme of things. So ridiculous, man. And like that's why I think the idea of pointing out the Maya is so important. Look everybody, the world is trying to scam you. This is all an illusion. This is not real. This is the video game you were playing. You've been tricked, Bob Rogers. Every step of the way. And it's very noticeable when you complain about like really small things because you haven't looked up at the fucking stars in some time. Go outside and look at the stars. You'll have less complaining to do. Suffering makes you stronger. I agree with this, Charles. Where did you get the book from? It's a PDF, yeah. So if you go online and you type Semillas Sagradas, which is like sacred seeds, and Costa Rica field guide, you can just download it. It's 80 pages. It goes through all the animals too, but I didn't print that part because I know what the animal is by looking at it. I'm like, that's that. I don't even need to know what the fuck its name is. I know what it is. I can tell if it's dangerous just by looking at it. I'm like, oh, it's a boar. Not dangerous. Won't taste good, but it won't fuck with me either. We're safe. Anywhere between 3 and 5 in the morning though. Talking to maybe a jaguar or an ocelot you don't want to run into. Like your 5 a.m. in the morning walk should be a little more careful. Your 3 in the morning walks, like Unless you got a light on you, you look like prime target. But you got to remember, I'm like backed. We're backed by almost 1,000. There's a few houses back behind this in this estate here, but the estate itself is backed by 1,000 acres of national park. It's just thick jungle. Ain't nobody going in there. There's no trail hiking trails or some shit. Just big animals that eat each other. It's awesome. Anyways, let's see this. Um, well, that's a great idea. Just be careful. There are many look-alike plants. Yeah, great point, great Cody. In the field guide, I do believe they tell you if there are other plants that look alike. Like for instance, if you're looking for turkey tail, you often will find the fake turkey tail, and it'll tell you here's the real turkey tail and here's what the fake turkey tail looks like. God, it's like, oh wow, this is good. Everyone needs to drink some ayahuasca and chill. I think that's a good idea. Bob says, "What price do you see Bitcoin at in 2 years?" Well, Bob, that really depends on how people take a pandemic. Okay, Bitcoin is not worth anything. Let's start this conversation here. Most things are not worth anything unless it's water, food, or air. I mean a whole like love, compassion. Yeah, these are real assets and real values. That's for damn sure. Money ain't not important. Bitcoin, not fucking important. We never needed it. We don't need it. We've existed hundreds of thousands of years as a species. Ain't never needed Bitcoin before. And it's only so old. So, okay, well, it'll last probably at least as long as it has now, which is a good sign. The fact that it's lasted this long is a good sign. That means we've got at least another 8 years out of the motherfucker, right? Is that right? 2008? No, more. 2009? Yeah, 11 years. Well, we probably got 11 more years of Bitcoin at least. Maybe that's not worth anything in 10 years from now. 11 years from now, I can imagine if you could create infinite energy, Bitcoin wouldn't have a goddamn lick of a value because who needs money if you can just print everything you need, fly around in spaceships, and almost everyone has access to that infinite energy and infinite information. If you have infinite energy and infinite information and you're going to do dumb shit with your life, you're going to do so much dumb shit with your life so fast that you'll probably die really early. But if you've got access to that same energy, you don't need money. What do you need money for? You could do whatever you want. What the fuck is the point of money then? Right? Money's a store of value, but the reason why we store value is because at nighttime we can't work. But we've built systems that just run all the time producing energy. Then why would you need money? Because you have all the energy. Why would you need to store energy? You wouldn't need batteries necessarily either. You could just produce some. Well, whatever. We're getting into a sci-fi tech world, which I believe is very very possible. I believe we may have even already had some of this stuff for the last 13,000 years. So the point about this is, I who cares what Bitcoin's going to be worth? Like in terms of a fundamental assessment of value, I don't think it really matters. Okay, well, yeah, in terms of the financial world, we're obviously huge proponents of Bitcoin. I love tech. So what's its price? It'll be one Bitcoin. Ah, right. Okay, so is something valued unto itself or in relationship to something? Because then, I mean, right now, a car is worth more than Bitcoin, but the technology of Bitcoin we know is super valuable. But then you've got Litecoin, Flow, Digibyte, Dogecoin, all these hold value. Dogecoin doesn't even have to be a fucking anything because we know that memes, people, are valuable. Shares information at like a viral rate. That's valuable, right? It's a very difficult question you've asked, Bob, because what you're saying is what price do you see it in 2 years? Who cares? It doesn't matter. If you're trying to build a portfolio of assets, it doesn't matter what the price is. You're trying to collect things that you think are going to be valuable. It doesn't matter what the price is. Amazon went down in price in 2000 whatever, and what? So, well, how is it valuable? It means I can send money across the planet potentially. Well, is that a value to you? Do you ever do that? Have you ever sent international wire transfers? Do you know what something like Bitcoin even does for you? It just saves time, saves a lot of hassle. That's worth a lot of money, right? But how much? Well, if you lose the banking system, it could be worth a shit ton. In the middle of a pandemic, if 2 years from now things are still hard to buy, Bitcoin might not be worth anything because people are trying to get stuff with trading something, right? That's what money is. So if I have something and I want something else, but what if you can't get something else? Or what if what you can get is so easily produced and it's so cheap now that Bitcoin is almost devalued as well? Deflation will come from technology. Technology has always been deflationary. It gets better and better and cheaper, right? Look at the cell phone I have now. It's amazing. Lasts for years, can do all this crazy shit. I don't need. I like does 1,000 things, 1,000 other things I don't need it to even do. Probably records me half the time when I'm not pressing record. So the price of Bitcoin in 2 years, well, it really depends on how bad the pandemic gets, Bob. So it really depends on how people are choosing to value survival or bullshit. Survival and bullshit. Most often, there's like a balance between those two. I think it's part of the video game. The more people value bullshit, the higher the price of Bitcoin will appear. Because real value is not found in things. It's found in like self, others, relationships, right? Of those two things. That's where real value lies. Always has and always will. This intermediary of exchange as a global society to be able to use Bitcoin, it could be worth millions of dollars in the future. It could be worth nothing. That's always the bet. So, would you make that bet? Why not? There's not a whole lot of room for downside if it's just worth nothing. Okay, well, great. I'm going to die anyways. That's what investing is. It's understanding the downside always exists. I wish sometimes I get like curl these up. No, there we go. Doesn't matter. I like the new cowboy look. This is great for me. Anyways, I think Bitcoin will do great because we need a value transfer. I believe we're staying a digital global economy. And under that idea, and what I would like too, I like this. Remember that I like this life. I like this digital cowboy idea. In 2 years, where will we be with the pandemic? Let's say it blows out of proportion, everything shuts off about 18 months from now. Bitcoin probably crashes to around $1,500 if the pandemic just keeps going, right? That's saying if it doesn't stop. Maybe we stop it. Let's pray we stop it so we can just go back to normal life. I'm not really the biggest fan of that idea, so let's start with this one. Everything goes crazy for a little while. Hospitals are overwhelmed, governments start to break down, global shipping starts to crash because people are dying at a crazy rate and we can't save as many people as we would like, and things just go into chaos. Look, a lot of people still survive. There's a huge chunk of people on the planet still kicking it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's a huge deal, but not that big of a deal. We're still around. So Bitcoin might be the new money that the people that the Illuminati are so worried about, because you could just stop it. We're like, oh, we won't accept anything from any of your wallets anymore. And if every time you do a transaction, we'll raise a red flag and we'll kill your chip or something. Who knows? Things get crazy. They force you for vaccines and blah, blah. That's the bad side. We don't want to go down that path. So there's two paths there at the total collapse. We either choose their systemic problem society, problem reaction solution of governments, or we just go back to open source digital cowboy age. That's what I'm voting for. Now, if that's the case, it could take at least 18 months to 2 to 3 years for Bitcoin to come down to $1,500, maybe just a little lower. 3 grand doesn't even have to go down that low. It doesn't matter, even right now where it's at, and then have a long, slow climb back up. Now, if we just go into a half pandemic, yeah, Bitcoin could maybe rise a little faster. I would, but I don't think we were going to like that, because that goes right into a technocratic control state probably pretty quickly, because the government is going to extend their control and reach over every aspect of your life, Bitcoin or not, right? You still got to pay taxes on Bitcoin, right? They're still going to find a way to put their walls up in front of you, just like now. You're quarantined, you're kind of stuck there. Soon you might be fined if you go out. So that's a long-winded answer to what I think the price of Bitcoin is going to be, but there's two options. Option A, we go into full-blown pandemic, Bitcoin drops down lower. It takes years to recover, but does, and goes into the hundreds of thousands. Or we have this temporary interim bull market of money printing. They're just printing massive amounts of money, right? And that's going to affect Bitcoin positively, because it's going to seep in there somehow. Guarantee that. So first occasion, lower, then higher. Second occasion, not too much lower, and then higher. How long it lasts, though, on the second world, it might not be the case. They might replace it with their own digital US currency that they start giving people, and every month they pay you $2,000. And because nobody cares, because they're able to live, Bitcoin dies out into the obscure, and only the weirdo bucks like me, who live on the side of the jungle mountain dreaming about digital renaissance, open source, decentralized governments, or we go into one bigger centralized government. That sounds like the worst case scenario to me. So I don't know, guys. It's kind of up to you. This is all up to you. What do you want to happen? I vote for digital cowboy renaissance, decentralized governance, and decentralized money, decentralized information. That would be great. So for whoever can help build those things, I commend you. I can just talk about them. from there we can like work on design concepts and structures. Oh god, I love having coffee by the fire. Normally I'd be sleeping right now. I used to take like, I've been taking naps outside. I got nothing better to do right now than just sleep outside. So I hope you guys are sleeping outside every now and then. Mm. Okay, that was a long-winded answer to Bitcoin's price because I really don't think it's all that important. Not in terms of understanding what true value is as a human, Bob Rogers, because that sounds more fundamentally important than the way you're speaking. So let's go with that. Doesn't matter. Okay. Nice. Hari says, invest in health and body and mind. Our potential is humongous. I agree with this. That's a great sentiment, Hari. Charles agrees as well. I appreciate the love, Bitcoin, but Bitcoin doesn't gonna be the savior of humanity. I agree. Totally invaluable as in comparison with what we need to be taking into account for these next steps, because these could be big opportunities for us to open up information and governance. Okay. Bob, it's good to have you here. Like I said, I like people guff. I have a very wild outset and wild and out there mindset, and a lot of the time looking at something, I'm trying to view it from like a telescope or a microscopic level and take multiple viewpoints so that I don't just pigeonhole myself into a conclusion. So I shit talk a lot. So glad you're having fun live jamming with us from Costa Rica. Um, Charles is pointing out like he's. What I'll say is it'll become sadly starkly noticeable to people when the hospitals start to get overwhelmed, and that's not what we wanted. So, um, this is the popular way to die this year. Charles, that's the funniest shit. It's like when the kids go to eat like Tide Pods or some shit. Coronavirus is the popular way to die this year. Try it out. Jesus. Okay. Thank you guys. I appreciate us all joining in for this random, easy live stream. Value is in life and the quality of it. Absolutely. That's what successful companies are aimed at, to bring value to the customer. Agree with this 100%. Um, so do you licit here? Okay, here's the topic I wanted to get into. And first off, let me state I have watched none of the conspiracy videos around the 5G bullshit, and I'm going to say it how I feel about it. So I apologize if you believe something different and get offended. But well, actually, I don't. I don't apologize. If you get offended by what I say, that's your own fucking fault. Same for me. So I haven't looked into the 5G videos because here's my sentiment. I live out in the middle of nowhere, and I know that there's confirmed cases around us. So here, let's take a little walk. Okay, let's do this. Ugh. Okay, so see out here. Can you see any other houses? Do you see any 5G antennas? Do you know how 5G works? Like, 'cause I know roughly, not like I'm pretty stupid, at least when it comes to understanding how the technology actually works. From what I understand, you have a, a much higher, a much higher signal, like 60,000 hertz or some shit, and you have to execute it on a very, very short basis every time, like every say few hundred meters. And if you walk away from that little area, it doesn't work anymore. Now I don't know about you guys, but I don't see a motherfucking single pole, I can actually count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses that I see in what I would assume to be hundreds and hundreds of acres, thousands of acres in front of me. So, how does 5G fit into this story if we know that there are people getting sick in these types of areas from the same disease? And again, the disease itself is a progression of what happens if you get the virus and it turns badly, right? If you get the influenza and you don't end up in the critical care unit, you don't necessarily get you don't get the disease, right? So what they're saying is that this thing turns into something much worse than a flu. That's why it's called COVID-19. The disease is not just it's a rapid progression of basically bilateral pneumonia, and you die from pneumonia. And from there you can get bacterial pneumonia really easily because it's actually when your body systems go down, it's very easy for you to potentially lose that does that work? Yeah, there we go. For you to potentially lose like the strength of your immune system. So I haven't watched any of the 5G videos, but here, let's keep walking around here. I do hear a plane in the sky, but it sounds like a propeller plane. I don't see how 5G would have anything to do with this shit. And if I get cut off here, it's the end of the show. So thank you guys all for joining us. I'm gonna walk and see how far we can go. I think we can go all the way down to the greenhouse. So if I can't just put those two things together in my mind, like, okay, well, the effectiveness of the 5G radiation where I would feel sick would have to be close to me, and it's nowhere fucking near me, then I don't see how that would work. Like, what other deeper conspiracy needs to be made up? A pandemic is a very likely situation. It was always of a huge potential that we could just get wiped out by a pandemic. Not a big deal. Like, we knew that was of a very high statistical average. So I don't know why we don't just take that in and say, well, this is the likely scenario. This is probably what's happening. We could even relate it to the solar minimum potentially, right? I'm not saying that's the case. I don't know enough, but it's a potential. So instead of making up crazy theories, just to assume that everything we've been told is a lie, like a flat earth or some crazy nonsense, which again, like I like that people question things. That's a great thing to do, but unless you have some scientific rigor behind it, I don't give a shit. I use scientific rigor for what I do. If I eat a berry and someone dies, like actually I could show you there's a bunch of plants out here I know that I could give you and it's gonna kill you. So I don't need to, like, if you can't stop it, I give a fuck what you believe. The plant doesn't give a fuck what you believe. Ayahuasca doesn't give a fuck what you believe. If you take it, you're gonna get high. So this 5G radiation thing, it just doesn't fit the parameters, especially because people are getting sick out here. Anyways, leave it at that. Stay with the Arcane Bear. Thank you guys for enjoying the rant. I'll probably delete this show because it's an hour-long live stream. The whole point of it was just to do this. I don't think it really works in lag. See you guys on the other side. Oh, yeah. So by the way, I don't, like I said, the 5G thing, it's just yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. It's a very, very short wave radiation. It'd be hard to send over large, like, look, guys. Okay, whatever. What do you? Should I just leave you guys off with the jungle? You just want to watch the jungle for a bit? Or should I play some music? And then actually the phone's gonna die, so you get. Oh no, that's it. We're just gonna turn it off here. Thank you guys. Love you. Enjoy time. Tell your family you love them. Go do the things you want to do with your time that you never did before because you were busy working or something. And appreciate this miracle of a life. Stay with the Arcane Bear. I'm signing off. We will be producing the vlogs on the regular days. Yeah, on Monday through Friday. And then on the weekends, we'll just do live streams because it gives me time to think and build some ideas instead of have to just produce it all the time. So thank you. We'll see you again on our next episode or whatever.